Hey everybody, it's Mark. I'm back. I apologize for the delay. This is my dog Bandit. He's going to be my co-pilot tonight, hanging out with me. You'll probably see him a lot in these videos because he's my buddy. But I'm sorry for the delay. Yeah, I know, bud. Alright, I'm going to shoot a video, alright? So I am sorry for the delay. I haven't put many videos out in a couple weeks now. No excuses, just been really busy. So I wanted to kind of get back into the mix here and start talking a little bit more about playing in standard, not just slide stuff. So I get asked a lot about the way that I approach improvisation, the way that I approach using the pentatonic scale, my modes and all that good stuff. And honestly, the answer to that question is I use my ear a lot, but there's really hip ways that you can kind of take the framework of the pentatonic scale and just add some color to it. So let's talk a little bit about the notes that you can pull out maybe outside of just that normal 5-note scale. So per usual, let's do it in A, because A is the people's key, and it's right in the middle of the guitar, and that's why everybody does it, because it's a nice comfy zone. So let's just pretend there's a couple different ways that you can approach it. You can, you could do like a minor blues kind of thing, pentatonic thing, or you could do like more of the kind of dominant 7 kind of vibe. So let's first take like the minor pentatonic scale, just that thing. So if we're just in A minor, there's more notes than just, well, let's actually go through the scale. So if you're not hip to the pentatonic scale, we're talking A, C, D, E, G, A. So 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3. And then we're going to keep going. We're going to go back to C, D, E, G, A. And then you got your C on top. If you want to go back to that. So that's technically the pentatonic scale, and we're talking, 5 notes. But what can you add to that? What can you do in the context of, let's just say we're doing something like more of like a Santana, like a... Right? So on that kind of a groove, what can you do with that? Well, I mean, there's other notes that you can bring out, and the notes that I like to bring out are second note in the scale, which would be B. So that can be kind of hip. Didn't do anything fancy there. I just added the B in. So normally when you talk about that, you would talk about it as the 9th, so the B. So when you talk about tensions, we've got 9s, 11, 13, that kind of thing. What we mean by that is, so if coming back to the A, back to your octave, that's your 8th note in the scale, if you're talking about a major scale, then that next note, which is just the 2nd note in the scale, would be the 9th note. So that's where that 9 comes from, theoretically speaking. So that's one note that you can really use to bring out some tension, but also some sweetness. There's a sweetness to that 9. It's a great chord if you don't know A minor 9. It's a great voicing for that. It's very easy. You're just barring your finger across the 5th fret from the 4th string down to the 1st string. And then you're taking your 3rd finger and you put it on the 7th fret, which is that B. It's a gorgeous chord. So that's one note that I'll pull out. So so there's ways that you can pull that note out, and that's, that's kind of like salt and pepper. Use it to flavor, right? However you want to do it. You don't want to hang out on a tension for too long. can be kind of cool, as you just saw. The other note that I will talk about, and this, you know, everyone kind of knows about this, but that flat 5, so your E flat, right there, that note is what kind of is referred to as like the blue note, the flat 5. So you might have heard me before and I was going, so I'm using that. It's a little bit more soulful when you use that note. So that's bending to it. Right? So use it right there. Technically, I'm using my framework of the pentatonic scale, and I'm just adding in these notes for flair. So the 2, or the 9, as we say, or the flat 5. I usually like to, I'm really into this guitar player, Wayne Krantz. If you don't know about him, he's a jazz fusion player. You should totally check him out. He blew my mind, and he sounds like no one else, and he's just next level. So if you're not hip to him, definitely check him out. He got me hip to playing in that 2 position, out of phase thing. So there's your Wayne. There's your Jimmy. So mixture between those 2 things can skirt the lines. But that flat 5 is awesome, and there's so many cool ways you can mess with it. You know, this lick is a typical lick. See what I'm doing? Same thing right here. You can go. Even doing something like that, like taking a lick, create a motif around it, but mess with the octaves. You know, that stuff's a lot of fun. It can create some sort of motif within the context of you improvising over some changes. Alright, I don't want to make this video too long, but the other thing that I want to talk about, which I love, and it works great with the Santana vibe if you go to the D chord, is the 6. The 6 in the key of A would be F sharp. So that F sharp's going to be the 3rd of the D. So if you're playing Oyo Como Va, when you go to that D chord, if you can land on that F sharp, it's just such, I mean, the 3rd is, and I can talk about that in another video, but there's certain sweet notes that you can hit if you're aware of it, and you shouldn't be totally thinking about it all the time, because ultimately, in my opinion, music is a feel thing, and you kind of got to play, this is cheesy, but you got to kind of play from the soul and play from the heart, and play almost like you're not thinking about it too much. So the 6, so there's the 6, there's the 6, there's the 6. So that's kind of what I do when I mess with, you know, the pentatonic scale. If I'm playing, if it's a 1-chord vamp, even if I'm playing over changes, something like that I do in Teen Town. It's all those notes that I was just talking about. So all that stuff, and I mean, next time I'll get like a loop station and play over so you can hear it a little bit better. But what I'm doing there is just playing within that box and I'm picking out those specific notes. When you're playing 13 chords like this, that 6, that's your 13. So that is like that sweet note. Same thing with that third. There's so many cool things that you can explore once you start getting more comfortable on your neck. This is just a way to get you from point A to point B. And as a guitarist, you know, we want to, the way that we approach music, this was once said to me, and it rocked my world, and I'll never forget it. But as a musician, there's a couple ways that you can be. You can be mile wide and an inch deep, or you can be an inch wide and a mile deep. And in my opinion, the inch wide and the mile deep, that's where our goal is. We want to play for the song, we want to serve the song, but we want to be able to use our knowledge to go deeper with it, as opposed to just skimming the surface, you know, for the 4 minutes of the song that you're playing. So, just to recap, what we did here, so we were in we were in A minor, and what I did was I brought out the 9, which is your B. I brought out the flat 5, which is your E flat. We brought out the 6. So, and if you look at that, it's interesting theoretically, because technically those notes technically are like a triad of B major, which is really interesting when you think about that. So if you're playing like a B major triad over top of this A minor thing, that's really interesting. There's something really interesting to me about that sound. So cool. And this is just scraping the surface of you know, understanding the theory behind what you're doing. And you don't even have to think about that stuff, but like, those are light bulb moments when you're playing something and you're like, oh wow, look what I just discovered. Now let's kind of go down that path. Like, what if I start exploring this B major in general, and I superimpose that over top of the A minor? Because technically we could say, if we're in the key of A minor, we're technically in G major, because A minor is the second chord of G major. That's a whole nother lesson too. I'm not going to go down that path, but what you kind of need to start with is just that skeleton. If you rock with that skeleton, get working with it, you'll be fine. Thanks guys for checking it out. Please tell your friends, subscribe. I'm going to be getting lights. I'm going to start doing this the right way, getting more nifty with my Final Cut skills and all that jazz. This is just the beginning. Hopefully a long relationship with YouTube and getting this stuff out to you guys and making everybody have fun with the guitar like I do. So thanks a lot guys. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time.